back to my channel. So today I'm doing a video I have long put off, and I kept putting off because I found it very daunting, and I'm sure you can tell by the title why someone like me with my collection would find it daunting. But actually, as I've been reorganizing and rearranging, as I always am, I really felt more so than ever inspired to do this. I just started realizing there were specific fragrances that were standing out to me as just being that special kind of special, where if I had to ever run out with only 20 fragrances in like a duffel bag, which ones would I, actually pick above the hundreds and hundreds? And I won't lie to you, I think there are still just ways or other fragrances or other combinations that maybe are better suited, and I might have just forgotten them. I ran through all the areas where obviously here's one of them, but I ran through all the areas that I keep fragrances and I struggled, I won't lie to you. So this might be a best estimate, I will say, of the 20 fragrances I would pick for my collection, 20 fragrances for life currently, and I wanted to share them with you guys. So I hope you will enjoy. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and let's get into it. So we are going to start with, I think I'm going to show you guys the two particular houses where I have 3 fragrances each from that house. And that happens for me twice. I didn't mean for it to happen, but like I said, as I was looking through my fragrances, and I'm really hoping I got it all right. These 3 houses just happen to have 3 favorites that I feel like are in my top 20. So we're gonna start with those. And the first house, I don't think you'll be surprised to find out, is Amouage. I have 4 fragrances from them overall, and 3 of them very easily and very comfortably made it in my top 20. I'm not even slightly unsure about these. And the first one is my beloved Sunshine Amouage. I think this is a fantastic, exquisite mastery of fragrance, honestly, and I don't say that lightly. There are a lot of fragrances I love and a lot of fragrances I like and a lot of fragrances I think are wonderful, but it takes a lot for me to be also impressed by like the artistry of the fragrance. Sometimes the fragrance just smells good. It just smells like strawberry candy and it just smells nice, but there's no artistry there. And this, I can say, is very much not that. And it just kind of encapsulates everything I could ever want in a fragrance in one thing. It has artistry, it has class, it has a beautiful bottle, it has a beautiful, box packaging, the full presentation. It has exceptional lasting power, and I've talked about my lasting power story about this way too many times on this channel, so I won't say it one more time and spare you, but I just love it. I think it's total perfection, and any and all hype around this fragrance is well warranted and well worth it, I think. So this one definitely had to be a part of my top 20. Then the other 2, the next one is Lilac Love. This was my birthday gift to myself last year. Again, I just love it. I think it's spectacular. It's wonderful. It's unique. It's indescribable in its scent. I feel like it smells like so many different things, and yet I do get a sort of floral cocoa powder vibe to it. I think it's really truly beautiful. This is also my favorite shade of purple, so it doesn't hurt that I find these bottles totally stunning. And Amouage is above all, I should say, one of my favorite fragrance houses. I would love to own so many more from them. But yeah, I totally love this. Had to be a part of my top 20. And finally, the last Amouage is the newest to my collection, and that is Blossom Love. I have it in the tester bottle, so you can see the difference. If you were to get a tester bottle with cap, they just come with these more simple caps, which I don't mind. Obviously, the regular caps are more beautiful, but it's totally fine. This one's probably the simplest of them all, of these three, because I feel like it's more of a describable scent. It's a really beautiful powdery floral that I still think is absolutely stunning, and the performance is beautiful, the bottles are beautiful, everything about these. I would 100% save them. The other one that I have of Amouage didn't quite make it to my top 20 because the scent isn't as spectacular as these three are, and that is just one thing I will say. Side note advice about Amouage: I don't think they are blind buy safe. I have blind bought them before, but I think having smelled a lot of samples prior to blind buying, there are definitely fragrances from the range that are very, very hard to blind buy or love just blind. So definitely try to sample. Now we will go to the other house that I have three from, and that is Maison Lancôme. Might have been a surprise, might have not been, but I'll actually start with the one that you're probably least expecting, but I adore, and that is Figue et Agrumes by Maison Lancôme. This one I actually have in a smaller bottle, and I have to say I regret it. I really do regret playing it safe sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes I do play it safe, and I got the smaller bottle rather than getting the larger one, and now I don't feel right about purchasing a full bottle when I still have this, but I'm actually gonna wear this right now. I think this fragrance is unbelievably beautiful. There is something that really, really like resonates with me in this. I don't even know if I can put it into words, unfortunately, but I don't think it smells like figs at all, first and foremost, which is the reason why I was so apprehensive about getting a full bottle. I was like, the last thing I need is another fig fragrance that kind of sits there. I do, however, think it has a kind of salty, citrusy, beautiful floral mixture, and sort of even white floral mixture with like a super, to me it smells salty in the way the opening of Big, the Big fragrance by Lush does, and because that actually has sea salt. I love that. Any fragrance that has that sort of, I hope you know what I mean, and the best way to describe it is that this has it, Big by Lush has it, and I think maybe Orange, or no, Coral Pop by Jill Sander also has it. I love that scent. I love that composition, and anything that smells in that realm is just gonna vibe with me. So I think this is a beautiful, beautiful release by Maison Lancôme. They really knocked it out of the park, as they usually do. And this I would 100% run away with if I had to pick a top 20. The next two I will spend less time on because you know of my love for them, but the first one is Parfait de Rose. If you're a powdery lipstick or powdery rose person in general, this is kind of a rose powder bomb. I actually haven't worn it in a very long time. I guess for the only reason that I've been trying to smell test and wear test so many other fragrances and hauls for you guys, but again, pulling all of these out, like I almost want to just have a shelf just for my dedicated top 20. And if I really was ever in the mood to be a minimalist, which I will never be, this is like a collection where I love every single thing. And I totally understand, don't get me wrong, the like deep love and joy you get of having a collection where it's all absolute amazing loves. I just can't be that person, but I really can appreciate it. So if I did, this would have to be a part of it. Love that. And the last Maison Lancôme is, of course, Roses Berberanza. This is the scent that I always say I think made a non-gourmand fragrance lover into a gourmand, I wouldn't say lover, but like Apprentice. I think this is beautiful. It smells like Middle Eastern pastries. It smells like baklava. It smells like rose water and pistachio, and it's decadent. It is syrupy and decadent and lovely and beautiful, and my God, is it long lasting. But yeah, I absolutely love it. It's got this kind of, again, rose, but it's like a candied pistachio spiced delicious rose. So yeah, absolutely love that and would have it in my top 20 for sure. Okay, so now that we got the threes out of the way, there's I think only one other house where I have a duplicate. So I have two from the House of Guerlain. I was actually surprised. I was thinking there might be more, but there were so many other fragrances that I totally love and adore that I actually could narrow down my Guerlains to just two. The first one, I think, will be of surprise to no one, but I needed an Insolence in my life. I really debated between this one and Insolence Eau Glacée, which I think Eau Glacée in theory is a little bit more my vibe, but it's discontinued. And I think if I was running away with a fragrance, I might just want the original, honestly. And so I chose the Eau de Toilette. It could have been the Eau de Parfum, but again, this is the first one I ever had. And I feel comfortable with this choice. I'd want my tried and true Insolence, which would be the Eau de Toilette, which honestly does not perform like a average Eau de Toilette. It is a very good performer, I find, and very strong. This is my Candied Violet. This is my Parma Violet. This is my Violetta. This is my Choward's Violet Candy Mints. It's everything I would want in a Candied Violet fragrance, and Guerlain already creates it, so I will never need to create my perfect Candied Violet, as far as I know, because it already exists. I can never really imagine my collection ever being without it. Thankfully, I have a million of them, so it'll take me ages to go through, but I just really can't see myself ever being without this. This is very, very quintessentially me, and for a very long time, I imagined this as being kind of what I hope people think of when, you know, if they smell a fragrance, they'll think of me. We're gonna get to a fragrance that I've changed my mind about and actually feel like that's more what I hope people think of, but there will always and forever be a special place in my heart for this. So I had to include that one. The second one is a newer Guerlain to my collection, but it's one I've been searching for desperately for years, and I actually managed to find it in 2021, so I was very happy. And that is L'Instant Magique by Guerlain, obviously. This is, it is such a beautiful, I will actually spray it, why not? Why not? It's stunning. It is one of the best powdery fragrances of all time. It came so recommended from pretty much everyone who knew me and knew I liked powdery fragrances had this in their top 5 for me to try. And I still and forever will remain confused about the House of Guerlain and how they decide what is sold where and what is discontinued, because I think they are incredible magicians when it comes to fragrance, but when and how they release them and discontinue them will remain a mystery. And this, I think, should be readily available everywhere because it's beautiful and such a special fragrance. So I definitely would have to run away and keep that one. And then the next one, as we're on the run with these powdery fragrances, you're gonna see a number of them show up, but one of them that I had to run away with and has to be a part of my top 20, I'm sure you won't be surprised, is Italia by Parfum de Marly. This is my favorite Parfum de Marly that I've ever tried. It's one that okay, I'm just gonna spray. I'm gonna spray everything. It's one that I feel like, I haven't worn it in a while. Doesn't get as much hype as I think it should. It's truly stunning, and it's a really beautiful, powdery, expensive iris. It's kind of the more niche, older sister to Prada's Infusion d'Iris. So if you've ever liked that, I think I might, okay, I couldn't help myself. If It's gonna be hard smelling everything else, but I really couldn't help myself. So if you've ever liked Infusion d'Iris, any of the iris fragrances by Prada, this is the kind of niche answer to that, but it's very similar, and it's just kind of like a heightened, a little bit powderier, a little bit less fresh, and I think a little bit more beautiful. So love the bottle, love the fragrance. Definitely have to have Italia as part of my top 20. All right, so the next one, actually, I went back and forth between this and two others that kind of are all like along the same line. And in the end, I went for this one. So this is Juliette Has a Gun's fragrance. I was trying to decide between this, Armani Code Cashmere, and Dior Hypnotic Poison. And I think everyone or most people would choose Dior over those three, or at least they would definitely put this one last, I think, if people were to rate them. But I just had to be honest with myself. I love Dior's Hypnotic Poison, but there are just so many things that it reminds me of, and I feel like I have a love affair with that is like, I'll sprinkle it in every once in a while because it's like a classic in my book, and I might not want to run away with it, if that makes any sense. And so that was really clear that I wouldn't have picked that one as part of my top 20, even though I love it. And between this one and Armani Code Cashmere, I actually have always had a really, really special place in my heart for I know it's not for everyone because I also love the sprayer. I know it's not for everyone because I do think this is the most synthetic smelling also of all three, and I should do a root beer video eventually. There won't be that many fragrances, but I should do one. I just love it. Like, I really, really love this fragrance. I love the way it gets like synthetic root beery. I love how sweet it is. I love how it's sort of medicinal, and borders on being kind of like venturing towards licorice, but it's not fully that. I love it. I love the bottle. I love the scent. I don't love how it's not as strong as I would like, and how the performance isn't really as strong or pronounced as maybe some of the others in my top 20. But if I were to run away with 20 fragrances, I know I would miss this one desperately if I didn't have it. So I had to include that. Then this was probably one of the fragrances that I knew the quickest I would have to have as part of my top 20, partially for scent, but I won't lie to you, a good portion of it is because this fragrance is just very, very special to me and holds a lot of sentimental value. And that is, you might have guessed it, is Gucci 2 by Gucci. I grew up on YouTube, as a lot of us did, and the early days of makeup YouTubers and gurus, like really at the start of YouTube, is such a nostalgic, funny pun intended, nostalgic time and just like period of my life. And this reminds me of that time. It reminds me of like early YouTube and even just like much earlier internet vibes. And if you're younger than me or a lot younger than me, then maybe none of this will make sense. But if you're my age or older, that was just like such an innocent time, I think, online, and people were really more laissez-faire and casual on YouTube, as I am, but I just really like that time. And this reminds me of that time. It reminds me of so many beauty YouTubers that I loved, and on top of that, I think it really is a really unique fragrance that I searched for a decade, you guys, to find, and to find on a deal that wouldn't absolutely bankrupt me. So I would have to run away with that. I love it. To this day, it's the fragrance where I hope it would come back the most, just so everyone could experience it. Obviously I have it, but I really think it's a special one. And then another fragrance that I love, and this one is very readily available, I had to include Bal d'Afrique. I put a good dent into this, and earlier on in my YouTube channel experience, I did a video that was the 3 that smell like me, and this was one of them, because this really was a love at first sniff, unbelievable experience the first time I smelled it. And to this day, I maintain this really does smell very much how I envision people think my vibe is. Like, I love this scent. I think it's really, really unique, actually, and my favorite of Byredo. And I think any dupes that have come out throughout the years can't hold a candle to this. So I definitely have to include that as part of my top 20. Okay, so we will move on to the only Lush fragrance I have included. But I had to, because it will always remain as one of my favorites, and that is Snow Fairy. I have the body spray, but honestly, I've said this before, these body sprays perform like perfumes anyways. I love this scent. It is candy floss, banana candy, just stunning, gourmand, super sickly sweet, with a touch of nostalgia for me, and I love this. I've said before the whole story about how a lot of this is spilled, so I only have about maybe this much left of this one, but I have a backup already because this is a Christmas only special, and thank goodness that this is one of the things where I can pretty much guarantee, as long as Lush is in business, they will create, because there would be mobs around the world if they were to ever discontinue this. But I love this, definitely would have to have it as part of my collection. Then, in possibly the only wintry fall vibe scent that I have as part of my top 20, you'll notice a lot of them are powdery and florals, because that is my vibe. Some will get kind of root beery, but maybe grapey, but they just all kind of stay in that vibe. The only one that is very different is Lune Féline, because Lune Féline by Atelier des Arts is, for me, legendary status, stunning, masterpiece level, just like Sunshine by Amouage. The first time I smelled this, I was blown away. It was like this Roses Berberanza, Sunshine Amouage, a fragrance that can really not only take me out of my comfort level or the box that, you know, I know will always be loved by me, which are, you know, powdery, makeup-y, lipsticky florals. If a fragrance can take me out of that box and make me in love with it to the same level or even more of a powdery fragrance, then I know there's something incredible about it. This is a vanilla scent. It is a kind of, some people find it too medicinal, burnt rubbery, but I don't get that at all, thank goodness. This is a spiced vanilla scent that I think is truly above and beyond stunning. Like, that is the one word above all else that I can really pull to mind when I think about this. It is stunning. It is warm. It is everything I'd want in like a cold weather fragrance. And I can comfortably wear this for weeks and not feel like I need another scent. And that does not happen to me very often. I will get in the habit of testing a bunch of fragrances during the day and just like sneaking this and wearing it for, you know, noon afterwards, because noon onwards, I should say, because I miss it. I miss this so much. I love this scent. Truly don't think I could ever be without it. Then, and I really debated which of these replica scents I should put forward, and I was torn between At the Barber's and this one, but in the end I went with this one, and that would be Lipstick On. I did go for this one, even though I think At the Barber's means more to me. Scent wise, I would just really miss a lipsticky fragrance like this. And again, I could have gone in a different direction and picked my beloved Sense of Glam by Zara, because that's a really beautiful lipsticky scent as well. But since I had Parfait de Rose, I decided to go for this. I think this one's beautiful. I actually feel like, if I'm being truly, truly honest with myself, I sort of prefer L'Ange Noir by Givenchy over this. at least in its opening. I think it's more easy for me to wear that one. This one's opening is just a tad less my vibe than that one is, but this is again really special to me. I always want this in my collection now that I've found it, and it really also is special to me even more so like with Gucci too, because it's been discontinued and probably going to be very hard to find in coming years. So I have to run away with that one. And then another powdery fragrance, but this is probably one of my top powdery fragrances ever. Not just my favorite, like truly powder bomb. And this is Temps de Neige by Lorenzo Vioresi. This is truly not for the faint-hearted. It is a clean powder bomb like you would not believe. I am so glad I was recommended this on YouTube, because I don't know if I would have ever really come across it otherwise, because I'm not familiar with this house. But oh my God, the first second I smelled it, I was like, yep, they're all right. This is everything I need it as part of my collection, and I need it always to remain in my collection. Okay, so we're getting to the last four. I realize now that the next one I'm going to talk about is the only celebrity fragrance I'm including, and I will take a beat to see if you guys can guess which one it is, because you might be thinking, oh, it might be this, it might be that, it might be Miami Glow, it might be Cloud, or one of the Arianas, but you'd be wrong, because it is Truth or Dare Naked by Madonna. I love this scent. I actually will spray it because I don't care anymore, and this is another one of those scents like Lune Féline that I could wear every single day of my life. I won't, because it's discontinued, and I don't know why Madonna did this to me, but I would wear this every single day for like 2 months and not get tired of it, and that never happens to me. I think it's stunning. It is a beautiful grapey with like a touch of cocoa powder, undescribable, I think, masterpiece. I've put in a real good dent of it. I even like the bottle. I don't know why this went away. I really, really want this to come back, or at least for someone else to make something exactly like it. But I mean exactly, because it's stunning. It is truly one of the most beautiful fragrances I've ever smelled that really vibe with me, so I'd have to run away with this. The next scent is the one I was mentioning, how if I could have a signature scent, I feel like I would really want this to be it. And until I find otherwise, this will remain supreme in my collection, and that is Rubina by Bulgari. If you're wanting a full review on this, because this is master level, incredible, masterpiece, stunning, all of the adjectives. I do have a video on my channel of the full review and kind of going through why this is my signature scent. But again, the first time I smelled it, I was like, yep, that's it. Like, this is something that I've never smelled before exactly to a T. It is ambery and powdery and a little bit medicinal, but very strong. Like, you could, I actually won't spray this, because once you do, you have a hard time smelling anything else. I love the bottle. I think Bulgari really knocked it out of the park. I'm terrified that they will discontinue this one day, but until then, I'd have to run away with this. Last two. The second last one is actually Zadig & Voltaire's. This is her. I think a lot of people actually eventually, after like a few months, went off this scent. It was really popular, and then I think people just stopped talking about it, at least as much as they were. I never stopped loving it. I still wear it all the time. I think it's very unique, totally different than everything else I've had in my collection up until that point. And again, a scent that it's just an easy reach for me, because I know I'm gonna love it. And it's like creamy and nutty and almost a little bit, maybe for other people, too metallic, but it's got like a metallic tinge that I adore. And yeah, I can't be without that one. And last but not least, it's a scent I won't spend a lot of time on because I talked about it a lot in a recent video, but that is So Scandal by Jean Paul Gaultier. I could not be a grape fragrance lover and not have this as part of my collection. I love it. I love her. I would have to always have her on hand for the days I need my grape bomb scent, and that is exactly what it is. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you will leave me in the comments below which one of these fragrances you've tried, you'd like to try, or maybe I'd love to hear kind of fragrances that you think should be in your top 20 that you'd have to run away with. If you needed to narrow it all down. I love to hear from you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye.